What's up, y'all, and welcome. My name is Britt, and I am one of the firebrands here at Forge, and I'm so excited to get to welcome you to this evening's teaching taught by Chris Emery. I'm so excited to get to listen to what Chris has to say, and we're so glad you're here. If you're pumped about this video, will you please just take a moment and share it real quick so anybody that's following you on social media can also have a chance to follow along with this video and our ones that are coming up in the future. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're pumped that you're here.
Hi. I'm Chris Emery, one of the speakers here at Forge Kingdom Building Ministries. I was reflecting this week on how much of a worrier I was as a kid. I remember growing up that I was always filled with this barrage of what ifs. If my mom and dad went out for dinner and left us with a babysitter, I was always concerned, like, well, what if they get in an accident? What if they don't come home? Or what if they get hurt? I had other what ifs, like what if I get lost at the mall? Or what if I get beat up at school? And it seemed like these what ifs just really overwhelmed me, and fear won so much of the time. There were also times where I tried to overcome those fears, where I tried to put away the what ifs. I remember one year we had taken a trip out into the deserts of New Mexico, and we were going to ride ATVs, and I was so excited, but I got out there and I got on mine and everyone took off and they were going so fast, and I was so determined to fake it. I was so determined to be that tough guy and that I could keep up, and I kept trying to put my fear down and go as fast as everybody else was going. But then those what ifs came around, right? Those what ifs of what if I wreck, or what if I don't keep up and I get lost, or what if I get hurt? All of these things, all of these fears. That's kind of how it goes for me a lot of the time, is I try to push through by my strength, and I try to convince myself I'm going to be okay, but the what ifs just keep winning. That happens in life for me sometimes. Sometimes it's, well, what if I can't provide for my family, or what if my career doesn't go the way I was hoping it would, or I think it should? What if my health doesn't last? What if I get sick? Or what if I lose a loved one? What if tragedy hits? All of these what ifs that are real. And then the fear begins to win. And I keep putting my eyes on things that I think I can control. And I keep trying to set my sights on what I can take care of in my resources. But what I discover is usually those don't work. And somewhere along the lines, just like when I'm trying to fake it on that ATV, driving as fast as I can and acting like I've got all this under control, eventually I realize I don't. There's a passage in the book of Colossians that I want to share with you. And in Colossians chapter 3, Paul starts off by saying this to us. Since you have been raised to a new life with Christ, set your sights on the realities of heaven, where Christ sits in the place of honor at God's right hand. Think about the things of heaven, not the things of earth. For you died to this life, and your real life is hidden with Christ in God. And when Christ, who is your life, is revealed to the whole world, you will share in his glory. So what Paul's writing there is he's saying, like, listen, stop putting your sights and vision on things around here of the earth, and put your sights on things of heaven. But what does that look like? What does it mean? What are the things of heaven? Well, first of all, understand that the word here, the word used for set your sight. The NIV translation says, set your mind, set your thoughts on things of heaven. The word set here in its original Greek form means to strive for, to be intent for. And so what he's saying is, listen, be intent, set your sight, strive for the things of heaven. Don't strive for the things of earth. Well, if I want to strive for the things of heaven, I've got to understand what that looks like. And basically, the things of heaven would be the things that match God's perspective and the things that match God's desires. Well, God's perspective is pretty clear. And his perspective is this, that the things of this earth are temporary, but the things of heaven are eternal. So God's perspective is on the eternal. The earthly perspective is on the temporary. The things that are not going to last. The things of this earth. And as much as they mean a great deal to us now, we got to be honest that God's agenda is not for us to live this happy, healthy life here necessarily. Some will, some won't. But we also need to know that this world may offer suffering, and this world will offer pain. But everything that this world offers, whether good or bad, whether pain or victory, whatever it may be, these things are temporary. God's perspective is eternal. That's setting my sights on heavenly things. Then I also have to say that heavenly things would mean that my desires match God's desires. And it puts all of a sudden, it puts away all of these things that might make me strive for the things that make me feel good or that satisfy me. And the things that feed me and the things that serve me. My desires become all about His desires. Things that serve God. Things that glorify God. Things that point to Him. So as I take my eyes and I put them on Him, it begins to remove all of the things here. Paul goes on to write in the next few verses there about what things of this earth look like. And it's a pretty ugly list, honestly. It talks about things that are like greed and idolatry and worshiping things of this world, impurities, lust, all of these things. And I know that sounds like just a list of sins, but it's not. It's more than that. It is the foundation of the things that are earthly. They're things that are not of God. They are not righteous. They're not holy. They're ugly. They're evil. They're sinful. But they're also the things that we often run to find our security, to find our foundation. And when we do that, we will eventually recognize one thing. Those things will let us down. Those things were never going to sustain us. Those things are just going to lead to more fear. See, usually when the what-ifs begin to win, we retreat to what we're familiar with. When the what-ifs, those fears of what if in this in my life, or what if this happens to my family, or what if this happens in my career, or what if this happens to my finances, when those things happen, we start to retreat and we begin to take our eyes off of heavenly things and we put them on the earthly things. The things that we can grasp, or we think we can control, or that we can think we can predict, or the things that we can use to provide for ourselves. And I begin to take my eyes away from the heavenly things. I put them down here again. That's not how this is supposed to go. Paul wraps it up here in this little section. In verse 10 it says, "Put on your new nature and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator, become like Him." In this new life, it doesn't matter if you're Jew or Gentile, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbaric, uncivilized, slave or free. Check this out. Christ is all that matters, and He lives in all of us. Wow. Christ is all that matters. That's hard sometimes. Things around me feel like they matter. My family matters to me. Being a good steward of my finances, that matters to me. Experiencing life matters. A good career and having a good purpose, that all matters. But at the end of the day, what Paul is saying is like, listen, comparatively, these things may be important and they may be a big deal. And God's not going to just take them all from you. He may bless you with some of these things. But when push comes to shove and it comes to the end, when fear begins to swell, these don't matter. Only Christ matters. That's putting our sights on heavenly things, God's perspective. So here's a couple tips for all of us to do when fear begins to rage and we feel that temptation to take our eyes off of what's heavenly and put them down on what's earthly. Here's a couple things that I want us all to maybe put into practice in our lives. The first one is this: stop surfing and start praying. Stop surfing and start praying. Now, back when the internet first came out in the 90s, and I know some of you are like, well, I wasn't born, but I was. It was called different things. At first, it was like called the World Wide Web. That's the WWW. And so we'd be like, I'm going to go on the World Wide Web. And then at some point, somebody came up with the term, well, I'm going to surf that web. I'm going to surf the internet. I don't know what you call it anymore. I don't think anybody says I'm going to go surf the internet. But what I'm saying is this, is that we so often, when fear begins to swell, we run to information. We run to the place. And so what do? We run here. We run to our phones, or we run to our laptops, and we run to places where I can discover more information. I can gather, well, what's really going on, or what's the real facts here, or what's the news say, or what's my checking account balance, or how can I handle this? We run to information. We start surfing, don't we? How many of us spend hours My wife actually makes fun of me because someone in a conversation will bring up a topic or they will pose a question that we don't have the answer to. And I'm the first guy to be like, well, I can find that out. I'm just going to Google it. How about instead of surfing it, how about instead of Googling it, we were to stop and just pray? When that fear begins to swell and you begin to feel the what ifs overwhelming you, what if you were to just pray and just stop for a minute? Philippians 4:6 tells us this: don't worry about anything, instead pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all that He has done. What if instead of letting fear and worry win, we begin to stop as our first response? Just stop and pray. Just stop and call out to God. Another one would be this, is asking ourselves, what do I want? Do I want promises or do I want predictions? Because what happens is this, is that we keep looking to this life for foundation. We look to the things of this world for security as our resources, our go-to. And what it is it's here. And you know what we do? We go and we begin to read this and we dig into this. This is not promises. You know what this is? This is predictions. That's all this is. This is predictions. These are promises. What do you really want? What do you really want your life to be based on? This is earthly. This is heavenly. This is fake and false and shaky at best. This is the rock. This is the truth. These are our promises that God has given us. I love what it says in Isaiah 41. It says, for I hold you by my right hand. I, the Lord, your God. And I say to you, don't be afraid. I am here with you. Man, I love that. I love that God says that. Hey, don't be afraid. I'm here with you. Then the last one would be this. Relax and acknowledge that it is bigger than you. Whatever it is that's driving that fear, whatever it is that's just pushing into you, that's just pressing you down, whatever it is that's challenging you to want to go run to your knowledge base, to predictions, to things of this earth, to your resources, whatever that is, a circumstance or a challenge, a trial, a loss, whatever what ifs are swelling around you right now, stop and find peace in knowing it is bigger than you. And that's how it should be. I get so frustrated when I hear people use certain quotes and they quote them like they're scripture and they say them like they're in the Bible, and they're just not. And there's a lot of them out there. But one of them that really drives me crazy is this. It's that phrase that says, God won't give you anything you can't handle. You know, He won't give you something bigger than what you can handle. That's not in the Bible. In fact, here's the deal. If I could handle everything that God gave me, I wouldn't need God. If I could handle circumstances myself, if I had what it took to battle that battle and to climb that mountain and to go through that valley, well, then I don't need God. Here's the deal. There are a lot of things in life that are bigger than me. There are so many things that I can't handle. That's why I need God, this almighty Heavenly Father. I like what we read in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. Don't try and handle it yourself. Don't think that you've got this. Because here's the deal. This is a freeing statement. You don't got this. But He does. I don't know what ifs are overwhelming. I don't know what fears are raging in your life. But maybe it's time to just stop, pray, find power in His promises, and let your Heavenly Father come in and be bigger than what's going on in your life. Thanks for being with us today.
What an awesome message by Chris, and such a good reminder that in moments of crisis or desperation, to remember that we need to focus on where we're running, what we're remembering, and where we're resting. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're so glad that you're a part of the Forge family. We just ask a couple things as this closes, that if these videos have impacted you in some way, will you please comment on these videos, comment, send us DMs, messages. We would love to engage with you through social media. We also ask that you continue to share these to your stories and continue to share these to your feed so that the friends and family around you can also begin tuning into what Forge is trying to do during this weird time, just to stay in tune and up to date with everybody. And we also just ask that if Forge has impacted you in any way, that you prayerfully consider financially partnering with us moving forward. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Britton, Forge Firebrand, tuning out. Peace.
What's up, guys? This is Charlie Marquis, an itinerant speaker with Forge. Just in case you didn't recognize me, I know the wild beard has finally come off. Anyway, we can't wait to see you tonight. There's a special event happening. This film called Free Burma Rangers just is going live tonight at 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. It's going to be incredible. I actually saw this film in theaters, and it is one of the most amazing, powerful films I've ever seen about a true kingdom laborer transforming the world, trusting in Jesus to do the impossible. Would you join us for a watch party right on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Forging Lives. We'd love for you to join us for a watch party, and then a few of us Forge speakers are going to stick around for 20 minutes afterward for a follow-up live conversation. We'll post the link to a live conversation right there in our watch party. We'd love to see you. By the way, just parental permission recommended for this movie. It's a little bit graphic as this guy is rescuing people from war zones. But would you join us and watch this together and have a follow-up conversation about what it looks like to be a kingdom laborer? Love to see you there. Check it out with us.